In front of us is an ominous island with birds circling around it. There are those who will overcome the wound of the known in search of the unknown. These words seem to hover in the air, adding an air of mystery and a foreboding of uncharted stories. Here our hero stands alone, his face reflecting hidden power and unyielding determination. The text framing his figure speaks of him as a man shrouded in darkness and mystery. Before you is the story of a man tormented by the strongest. A living world where life seems carefree and joyful. One of the girls exclaims, "The strongest mage in the world is back." These words create a sense of the return of someone important and powerful. Maybe the strongest magician of them all. The adventurer with the rank of world's strongest magician is Ivan Cromwell. His gaze and posture express readiness for the trials and adventures ahead, which completes our story with the image of a man walking towards his destiny. In front of us is a girl. Her name is Marie Croce, and she holds the title of Witch of Disasters. The inscription beneath her portrait reflects the contrast between her sweet appearance and her powerful title, which foreshadows her extraordinary abilities. Ivan Cromwell, surrounded by a crowd of admiring citizens. How did you defeat a monster you didn't have enough magic for? The tension of the moment is building, and everyone is waiting for an answer from the magician whose reputation already speaks for him. Marie Croce, joyous and triumphant after her victory. Her face brightens with a smile and her posture expresses carefree joy. I chose to win this time. These words reflect her cheerful mood and confidence in her own abilities. Marie looked downcast. There's a reason she's the strongest witch of the 7 great calamities. This revelation of her power is thought-provoking, but at the same time you can read the uncertainty in her eyes, and she whispers, "Am I the strongest?" Marie Croce, who points with delight and pride to Ivan Cromwell, declaring him her mentor and the strongest magician in the world of magic. Marie, speaking of Ivan's might, who defeated the monster with a single blow, her admiration for his might and heroic deeds, emphasizing Ivan's legendary reputation in their world. Marie with a wide smile and a questioning expression on her face, as if she was looking for confirmation of her words, asking, "That's right, isn't it?" "That's right, and I will remain the strongest until the day I die." His determination and boldness in words and gestures emphasize his indomitable spirit and willingness to face any challenges ahead. He recognizes that without Marie's support, he would have been lost. His words, "If I'd been there alone, I'd have died in a second," reflect how important her help was and how deeply he appreciates her strength and support. Memories of Ivan and Marie's childhood, where they are depicted playing together. The inscription text, "Marie was my best friend," and "kind of nice that she calls me mentor," but reveal their long history of friendship that has grown into a deep understanding and respect. Marie, absorbed in reading a magical book, flames and energy swirling around her. The problem is that Marie is a true genius, and since her training in magic, she's also become the strongest, emphasize her extraordinary talent and growth in power, making her a truly unique witch. If the student is so strong, what power the teacher must have? And so her mentor's real name is justified even without her help, emphasizes Ivan's role in her life and the influence he had on her development as a magician. It is a reflection of their shared journey, full of challenges and learning. We see Marie Croce radiating warmth and joy, her eyes closed and a contented smile playing on her face. The musical notes around her give the impression of lightness and carefreeness, as if she is hearing a melody that sounds just for her. Next to her is Ivan Cromwell with a slight smile on his face, his ha-ha, seeming to respond to her quiet melody. His gaze is calm and he looks completely confident in himself and his companion. But then the mood changes as we see Ivan trapped in dark thoughts, his eyes reflecting an inner struggle. "It's all one misunderstanding. How did it come to this?" His words express a doubt and uncertainty that mysteriously contradicted his previous calm. "Did you know that I was able to overcome the 7 great disasters thanks to my mentor?" The expression is imbued with gratitude and admiration, emphasizing his importance in her life and their shared journey. "You definitely can't beat me. I'm on my own." This statement and the gleam in her eyes show her confidence and strength. Before us is a quieter moment, where Marie, with her eyes closed in pleasure, makes sounds of satisfaction, and even looks at her with a slight chuckle. This moment reflects their mutual understanding and the ease of their relationship. We see Marie in a more pensive and dreamy mood. "That woman," and "machine." Such words and her facial expressions suggest that some affectionate and cheerful idea is swirling in her thoughts. Ivan and Marie are in the midst of a battle, surrounded by a whirlwind of magic and power. I understand, Marie. I believe Ivan is the strongest. Ththese words and actions show that their duo is as strong in battle as they are in life, and they are both willing to stand for each other to the end. She relies completely on Ivan, and I still have a lot to learn in the art of magic. This emphasizes their mentoring and apprenticeship relationship and her desire for continued growth. Ivan smiling ironically and thinking that if you call you a real mage, in this world, after all, mages are the strongest men. His confidence and ease convey the sense that he fully embraces his role and influence over Marie. The girl of the 7 great calamities before thee, Efufante, and Zwabila she gave me and thine away at once with rank, emphasizes how she handles multiple challenges and is not afraid to face monstrous forces. Accidentally defeated one of these legendary creatures, and this and dried the beginning for the world's honeycomb, reflect their ability to overcome obstacles and their importance to the world in which they live. Ivan and Marie stand side by side in the face of danger, surrounded by the fire of battle. Ivan recognizes that he and Marie are the dead of war, sharing a common fate and the inevitability of struggle, but at the same time he states, "There was no one left who knew us," which emphasizes their isolation and the singularity of their journey. Ivan reflects on his identity and strength, stating that it is quite impossible for this generation to be the strongest, emphasizing the longing for self-improvement and finding a place in the world. Shows that despite his doubts, Ivan decided to keep the misunderstanding, which indicates his inner conflict and uncertainty about his decisions. Illustrates Ivan and Marie at the top of the rank pyramid, where a legitimate meteorite never gave him a chance to reach S rank, emphasizing the hierarchy of power and status in their world. And Ivan sees this as his only chance to fully develop his abilities. Marie, let's go to the beer hall. There's a monster waiting for us on our way tomorrow, where the souls of our sword will catch up with us. These words speak of a new challenge before them, but also of a brief respite before the storm. We see Ivan and Marie looking up into the sky where the stars are falling from. Long ago, something this world forgot our peaceful days. Words filled with nostalgia and sadness for a peaceful past. The war took our home and our parents. When we managed to escape, Marie told me. These words emphasize the hard memories and experiences that shaped them. Don't leave me, mentor. It is an expression of her feelings and affection for Ivan, showing the depth of their bond and her fear of being left behind. Ivan, illuminated by the light of the stars, makes a firm statement, "That day I made a vow to myself." These are words of vow that speak of a significant decision in his life. He continues his vow, emphasizing his devotion, that he would do to Marie no matter what. It confirms his determination to stay with Marie, regardless of the obstacles and difficulties. Ivan smiles as he stands next to Marie and says, "For the sake of this promise, I'm even starting to think world's strongest magician," which reflects his desire to become a better person for the sake of the promise made to Marie. Ivan and Marie facing a difficult choice or trial. Being the strongest is a heavy burden, and I couldn't have done it without Marie, emphasizes that despite the challenges and the weight of strength, Ivan appreciates Marie's support and considers her an integral part of his journey. Ivan and Marie are standing side by side, and his face expresses concern or doubt, which is emphasized by the words, "You want to know." His gaze reflects inner thoughts that perhaps he wants to share. Marie, full of determination and energy, pulls Ivan along with her, is sure to get to you, and that being the strongest in the world is not as easy as it may seem. A figure who watches them from the shadows, monitoring their interactions and perhaps their progress or actions. This mysterious figure approaches, and we see that it is a woman with bright purple hair who is watching Ivan and Marie closely, perhaps waiting for the moment to enter the scene or intervene. Ivan looks over his shoulder, his face reflecting concentration and perhaps worry. We see a dynamic image with a moment of motion where something or someone is rapidly approaching. The figure of a woman with bright purple hair, full of determination and strength, surrounded by magical energy, is revealed before us. She bursts onto the scene with intensity and purpose. A moment of confrontation between Ivan and this unknown woman, accompanied by bright flashes of magic and power. Ha! Perhaps reflecting a moment of battle or competition between them. Ivan seems surprised or even shocked. His questioning didn't even move may indicate surprise at the equanimity or power of his opponent. This emphasizes the unexpectedness of the situation, and perhaps a new discovery in his understanding of magic or his abilities. The purple-haired woman looks confidently into the camera, and the words above her head say, "Truly the strongest in the world." She seems to be challenging or claiming the title. Ivan looks shocked by her words and replies, "I didn't sense any desire to kill from you." This may indicate that there is some connection or understanding between the two, despite the obvious confrontation. The purple-haired woman says calmly, turning to Ivan, "That's how problems come crashing down on my head time after time." She seems unfazed in the face of these problems, emphasizing her strength and independence. I want to see what the strongest man in the world is really capable of. Beneath her portrait is a title that reads, "Adventurer with the rank of Master of the Sword, the Slazuri of the world." This indicates her striving and possibly competing with Ivan for the title of strongest. What if I don't want to? He stands before a woman with purple hair who seems to have offered him an unexpected cooperation or challenge. His words, "Well, why does the strong man like to get into fights so much?" reflect his resistance to unwanted confrontation or obligation. The purple-haired woman, putting her finger to her lips thoughtfully, replies, "I see," as if weighing his words or assessing the situation, pondering his next steps. "Then in case of defeat, I will become your subordinate." This could be a risk for her or a strategic move that affects Ivan. Not a bad deal. He recognizes the potential benefit of her offer, though he adds, "But if she'd just kneeled, it would have been better," indicating his preference for direct submission rather than a struggle for power or strength. Well, if she just wants to watch, she doesn't have to go as far as murder. This may reflect her reluctance to resort to violence and her desire for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. Ivan, with fury in his voice and gesture, declares, "My apprentice Marie will show you her power." He expresses confidence in Marie's abilities and willingness to support her in demonstrating her magical power. He acknowledges his recent difficulties by opening up about his condition. "In a recent battle, I used up all my mana, so..." This may indicate that he is fatigued or temporarily weakened. Marie apologizes to Ivan with her characteristic directness and honesty. "I'm sorry, mentor, but I'm very hungry." It shows her human side and everyday needs, despite her status as a mage and apprentice to the world's strongest. Marie turns to Ivan with a question that shows her simplicity and lack of understanding of the complexities of magic. "Why are you silent? The more mana, the better protected, right?" It expresses the conventional wisdom that a large amount of mana is the key to defense. Ivan, seemingly in despair over her lack of understanding, replies that she simply doesn't understand the concept of moderation and can't simply use mana without a sense of proportion, which highlights the difference in their experience and perception of combat. The purple-haired woman looks imposing and powerful, stating that she is a trained fellow recognized as a hero. It emphasizes her strength and self-confidence, as well as her status in a world where she's known and respected. Mari as a young, still learning mage with an incomplete understanding of her powers, and Ivan as an experienced mage who realizes the responsibilities and intricacies of her magical power, as well as the purple-haired woman who represents a force to be reckoned with. Ivan, with an expression of obvious concern and frustration, seems to ponder the situation. "If my student is this strong, that doesn't mean I'm stronger than her." This may reflect his doubts about his own power compared to the student or other competitors. The purple-haired woman looks up, confident and determined. "I can't beat her." Her words may reflect respect for Marie's strength or recognition of her own limitations. She continues, emphasizing her decision not to fight Marie. Since she was given an S rank, then her position is beyond absurd. This emphasizes that she recognizes Marie's special position and considers her worthy of a certain status. Marie turns to Ivan and asks, "Where are you looking?" She seems puzzled by his look and actions. Ivan, with surprise and perhaps bewilderment, replies, "Mentor, you can't cry like that," and adds, "I can't even carry bread home like this." It shows their close relationship and care for each other, even in the little things of everyday life. "If it's light, I'll start to doubt my powers." He apparently faces some sort of challenge or obstacle that causes him to rethink his capabilities and strengths. The purple-haired woman makes a bold suggestion in return. "If I agree to fight, there's a good chance my true powers will be found out." She seems concerned about possibly revealing her abilities to the general public. She goes on to suggest changing the conditions for Ivan. "If you change the conditions for lifting," this may indicate her willingness to compromise or seek alternative ways to resolve their conflict. "I need to raise my chance of winning by at least 1%. It emphasizes his desire to win and his desire to improve his chances, even if that increase is minimal. The purple-haired woman speaks her thoughts with obvious self-respect and some boldness. "Since you want to know so badly what I'm capable of fighting." She urges Ivan to act, prompting him to make a show of force. Ivan, for his part, makes a condition. emphasizing his right to determine the rules. But I have conditions. First of all, without enough respect for my power, right? He insists on respect, which implies his position and status in their relationship. The purple-haired woman seems to agree to his terms, indicating that it won't be a problem for her. It'll be a problem if we go in blind Iraq. She is willing to follow his demands, and even offers a place for them to confront each other. Ivan, with a serious and thoughtful look, concludes his stipulation. The first stipulation is mine. He retains the right of first refusal, which could mean an initial advantage in their upcoming bout. Ivan earnestly insists on choosing an out-of-town location for their confrontation so as not to endanger others. We need to pick another place. No civilian casualties should be allowed. He realizes that everyone has their own responsibilities and doesn't want their duel to cause trouble for others. But we have our own things to do, so you better come out be close. The purple-haired girl agrees to his suggestion, choosing a location that will be safe for others and suitable for their battle. Then how about a clearing outside of town? It's not far away, and no bystanders will get hurt. Ivan asserts his right to choose the location he deems appropriate for their battle. The second condition is that she chose exactly the location I wanted. This shows his desire to keep the situation under control, even in such an important aspect as choosing a place to duel. Ivan, with quiet confidence, outlines the third condition of his challenge. And the third condition is my main bet. He sets the stakes high, emphasizing the seriousness of the upcoming fight. He lays down a final rule that reinforces the weight of the contest. In case of defeat, you will nestle, yes, join us. This condition not only adds tension to their confrontation, but can also change the future of the relationship between the characters. The purple-haired girl, though somewhat hesitantly, realizes the seriousness of his words. It's awkward to say this about myself, but you do realize I'm a strongman, right? No one wishes to go into battle without expecting to win. Only victory will allow us to recognize our true capabilities. This condition strengthens their pact and makes the upcoming battle important not only for their own purposes, but also for their relationship in the future. My mural will release all facets of time, cutting streams across the age, and added Master of the Sword at the bottom. This sword, like a symbol of the era, a message of future accomplishments, shines brightly, promising its master great feats and battles that will change the course of history. A warrior girl standing among the nameless swords rising from the ground like monuments to the fallen. In the foreground is a plaque that reads, "The world's strongest gentleman swordswoman." Her eyes stare off into the distance, where perhaps new challenges and adventures await her. It's as if she feels connected to every sword, every story that has sunk her blade into this earth. A young man with a confident and determined expression. In other words, I won't have to announce the circumstances to you, he says, as if answering an unspoken question or challenge. His posture and gaze express his willingness to stand up for his beliefs and act despite all obstacles. But you don't stand a chance against me. I have a way. I have long since studied the weaknesses of geniuses. His words hint at the hidden knowledge and strategies he intends to utilize. You can read the confidence in his eyes, promising an exciting continuation of the story. Somehow I've spent my whole life around one of them. Snow swirls around her, and her expression seems pensive and a little sad. You can hear a note of regret in her words, or perhaps an unresolved story left behind. The girl smiles, and the air around her comes alive with light snowflakes. Hey, the mages are completely dead on my win. You can't sovereign her, she declares, and her smile is full of confidence and secret joy. It's like she knows something we don't, and that knowledge empowers her. The man stands amidst powerful energy swirls, his gaze full of determination and strength. I'll show you the power of the world's strongest. His words carry a challenge and the promise of a grand battle where he intends to prove his superiority. We see this man and this warrior girl in the desert where fate has brought them. They are facing another challenge, their paths have crossed, and now together they will face new adventures and opportunities that this strange and dangerous new world will bring. I will defeat you without even exerting myself. His words reflect confidence in his invincible abilities and hidden power, which may soon be on display in battle. The warrior girl, gazing intently into the distant desert, replies, "Farewell, Resh. I'm sorry, but questionable stunts don't scare you." She stands confidently, ready to confront any tricks and deceptions that may lie ahead. The man reappears in the frame, this time appearing thoughtful and focused. "It's actually on the right," he utters, as if calculating the next move or strategy he will use in the upcoming confrontation. The man is determined, with electric shocks around his arms. I will only use the most basic spells. No, in fact, that's all I can do, he declares, emphasizing that his true strength is not in complexity, but in the fundamentals of his magic, in his basic skills and techniques that he believes are sufficient to win. The man with energy around his hands exclaimed, "I won before this fight even started." His words and bursts of magical energy emphasize his confidence in victory and wielding a power that seems overwhelming. The warrior girl replies, ready for battle, "Come on, come on." Her determined posture and focused gaze indicate that she is not going to give in without a fight, and her words sound like an invitation to a sword dance. Moment of collision. A warrior girl and a man meet in mid-air, surrounded by flashes of magic and swords that collide with such force that sparks fly in all directions. This moment is filled with dynamics and tension, foreshadowing the outcome of the fight. Man seems to have difficulty in exclaiming, "It's easy to dodge at this speed." His facial expression shows that the situation has changed, and he is now forced to adapt to his opponent's unexpected tactics. A man in a black cloak performs an acrobatic jump. The magical spheres around him give the impression of exploding energy charges. He shows his agility and willingness to utilize his surroundings to gain an advantage in battle. The warrior girl performs a lightning-fast downward strike, her movements accompanied by electrical discharges, which demonstrates her speed and power. Not only does she wield a sword, but she can manipulate the energy around her, making her attacks even more devastating. We see the same warrior surrounded by the bright glow of her magic, which emphasizes her skill and power. Her confident posture and forward-looking gaze indicate that she is ready for any obstacle and is capable of overcoming it. Multiple attributes at once? Her surprise and delight reflect the sudden realization that the battle is taking a new turn, and now she must apply all her skill and knowledge to win. Everyone knows that a person can only have one attribute after all, and is complemented by the thought, if a person has several at once, they will all be weak. This points to some sort of magical system where power is divided and categorized by attributes, and suggests that a character's power can be diluted when possessing multiple attributes. The warrior girl seems to feel pain or discomfort from the blow, accompanied by the words, showing that she is in tension or has encountered an unexpected obstacle. The man seems focused and determined. His hands are surrounded by magical energy, and around him are the numbers 444, which may symbolize magical power or a mysterious message. His expression is serious, which may portend an important moment in a battle or ritual. A warrior girl stands amidst a blast of magical energy with a sword, surrounded by ice spears, and says, "I have no choice but to hit with all the cards I have." It expresses her willingness to use her entire arsenal of abilities and knowledge to achieve victory despite all difficulties and obstacles. Even though I'm well aware that they're physically useless, her expression and words show lightness, and it is possible that she treats her abilities or objects with some irony or understanding of their symbolic meaning. A blanket. The minute I hit a piece of it, I'll be struck by lightning. This suggests that she is facing an unexpected obstacle or defense that is activated by contact. She doesn't stand a chance if the opponent takes advantage. Skazuri is a swordsman who puts that emphasis on speed. It expresses her determination and realization that she must confront an opponent who uses similar tactics and strategies to her own. The warrior girl is presented in dynamic motion, attacking her opponent from several sides, as if shadows or reflections of herself. She has no choice but to attack head-on, emphasizes her decision to act straightforwardly and aggressively, fighting with full commitment. A man full of determination and strength shouts, "There's nowhere to run, I attack, ice claws." His confidence and aggressive posture reflect his intention to use all his abilities to win the battle, not giving his opponent the slightest chance to retreat. The warrior girl, focused and tense, leans forward, preparing for a decisive attack. Her quick and powerful movements indicate that she has no intention of giving up without a fight, and is ready to use all her power to meet the challenge. Of the girl, full of determination and fighting spirit, she shouts, "I'll never give up." Her determination and energy permeates the space around her, demonstrating her unwavering will to win. And finally, the warrior girl with red eyes full of focus and magical energy is carried forward for the decisive strike. Her pressure and speed give the impression of an unstoppable force, ready to overcome any obstacle on the way to her goal. The man towers over his opponent with a triumphant expression, surrounded by darkness and power. "Even escaping my spell, she's definitely human?" His words hint that he doubts the ordinary nature of his adversary, which adds mystery to the situation. "Game over!" he continues, his eyes burning with determination, and magical energy gathers in his hands, ready for the decisive blow. This moment is filled with tension and anticipation of the outcome of the battle. The warrior girl, suddenly stunned and shocked, makes a sound of surprise. She seems confused and unprepared for this turn, which shows that the battle has taken an unexpected turn. "If you can't attack, then take up crawling," he says, suggesting she give up. He shows confidence in his superiority while the girl, surrounded by magical energy, tries to recover. The man says with confidence in his voice, "I won. Admit defeat and we'll call it a day." His gaze and stance reflect his willingness to end the fight by giving his opponent a chance to retreat with honor. The warrior girl struggles to lift her head, smiling through the pain, and replies, It's so easy to fall into such a trap. I admit defeat." Her words and facial expression show respect for her opponent and recognition of his skill. Then there is the image of a burning phoenix, symbolizing rebirth and indomitable will. The phoenix's chief weakness is that it is eternal. Words perhaps emphasizing that even in defeat, there is strength and opportunity for a new beginning. They don't have time to understand why they haven't memorized everything about their tactics. Perhaps he's criticizing his opponents for their lack of strategic thinking or showing his superiority in martial arts. The man, hidden in the fog of his reflections, states, "They are recognized as equally weak in that he is the only one." His words are cryptic, but they seem to be a reflection on, "and never face those who can destroy them with a single blow," he continues, implying that there is a danger to those who underestimate their opponents. It is a warning that even the strongest can be defeated if faced with a worthy opponent. The world of geniuses is harsh. A man in battle says, no matter how weak he may seem, dying is nothing, which emphasizes his determination to fight to the end, no matter how weak he may appear to others. Shows him in a more relaxed environment, studying at a desk, which demonstrates that knowledge and learning are just as important as physical strength. A girl with a smile on her face says, "This is a real," which can mean recognizing some profound truth or important discovery. The man with his eyes closed seemed to be deep in thought or weighing his words. But still, if I delay with my spells for even a second, he ponders the consequences of his actions and the possibility that even a slight pause could have led to a very different outcome. I'd be dead by now. It may express his frustration or disappointment that despite his best efforts, he is still in a dangerous or difficult situation. Changed death to a simple rat, lured the enemy into a place of precarious position, and slowed him down. It indicates the character's cunning and strategic thinking, who knows how to manipulate situations and use the environment to his advantage. A girl with a book in her hands, the text says, "and accommodating to the first attack." This could mean that she may have reacted gullibly to the provocation, resulting in her defeat or embarrassment. Time after time, he provoked the opponent of her thinking. This shows that she realizes how her opponent manipulated the situation, forcing her to act according to his plan. The man holds his sword with a smirk and confidence, his demeanor and facial expression expressing his satisfaction with his own cunning and strategic approach to battle. He stands in the shadows, his eyes glittering under the light of the magical runes surrounding him. It was all his tricks to make the madam think to surrender as he wishes. The words emphasize his cunning and ability to control the course of the battle. He deliberately scolded all spells to trick her. He uses his knowledge and skills not only in battle, but also to manipulate his opponent, confirming his deep understanding of psychology and military strategy. But all his weakness for years of smarmy fate, showing that despite all his tricks and manipulations, he recognizes that there are weaknesses of his own that can affect his fate. It's best not to mess with a wound with a smoke in time, implying that there are certain risks or consequences he'd rather avoid. The girl, full of enthusiasm, exclaims, "You're like a conversation starter," which perhaps shows her annoyance or frustration at being intrusive or pressured by others. The man notices, "It will be necessary to take care that the Smazli does not learn my tactics," expressing his intention to keep his strategy secret and prevent the possibility for the enemy to learn of them. He says, "Great," in a satisfied manner, which may mean that his plans are going well or that he is happy with the way things are going. A girl is seen who seems surprised or alarmed, and a man's hand is next to her, perhaps indicating some action or preparing to help or protect her. The man in the cloak towers over the girl. He seems powerful and confident. His words, "I will add some of my power to you." The sniper of the world could mean that he is willing to share his power or give it an edge in some aspect, perhaps symbolizing different abilities or key figures in their world. The text on it is, "I have a sniper and a card will be 2 trump cards, and I entered them under the name Apprentice." This could relate to some upcoming trial or strategy they are developing. The girl looks shocked and perplexed, and the man seems to comfort her or explain the situation by saying, "Please teach me to prevail while like this." He may be asking for help or guidance to get better or learn a new skill. My hometown lives under the sign of the 7 great disasters. The phrase may refer to historical or cultural features of her home place. She continues with enthusiasm and challenge, "I was looking for someone to help me get it." She addresses the man optimistically. "It's going to be okay," she adds, turning to him. "You are a slide shift in the world mate mentor, aren't you?" Perhaps indicating his reputation or special place in their world. The man seems surprised or puzzled by his actions and their outcome. He says to himself, Hey, I won, didn't I? So why do I feel like a loser?" It expresses inner conflict or possible disappointment in one's accomplishments. The girl inquires admiringly and joyfully, "Well," it could mean she is waiting for a response or ready for a new adventure, full of hope and anticipation. A group of characters are seen at the moment of confrontation. The man says, "It can't be helped, wait on us." He seems to be urging his comrades to get their act together. A man expresses his bewilderment or disappointment by saying, "Ah, what on earth?" which may indicate unforeseen difficulties or undesirable circumstances. The girl with visible relief and happiness says, "My joy. If I've seen the participants, apparently the ones who lead the rat and will help her make it." Her emotions may reflect the joy of supporting and interacting with others. The man seems to be in a state of shock or great pain, saying, "We are rushing straight to meet failure," which may mean that he and his companions have encountered unexpected difficulties or dangers. A landscape with a wagon in which a character sits, accompanied by the phrase, "Some days run away." This can symbolize the passing of time or the journey of the characters. The girl in the second image says with a pensive face, "So what are we killing shells for?" This may refer to thinking about the goals or methods of their current mission. Because you are in a hurry, you don't know about the luminaries we need. The discussion may be about the need to gather important information or resources for their task. The characters are inside the wagon and one of them notices, "It's not a simple slide." This could be a comment about underestimating the situation or recognizing the difficulty of their upcoming task. Promise the powers can finish, and a child with a torch. This may reflect his confidence in the abilities and skills he possesses, or perhaps he makes a promise that power in their world is available even to younger participants. The man admonishes, "However, for that, we specifically have the jewelry that a rank 5 adventurer requires." He may discuss requirements or conditions that must be met to achieve a certain status or rank. Such monsters of ordinariness are especially long-standard way to find, or their limits behind daring actions possible. This may hint at the dangers of their world and the unconventional methods needed to deal with such creatures. The girl asks with surprise and curiosity, "What's the gluttony slide?" Perhaps she's interested in some unknown phenomenon or concept that has caught her attention. 2 characters are having a conversation inside a vehicle. One of them says, "Conventional slides are like one fuel, but this one produced fresh that feeds anything that comes in the way." This may reflect a discussion of some technology or magic in their world that feeds on fresh ideas or resources. The same girl says thoughtfully, "The results have become not normal more than number of skills and blocking the opponent." She might be reasoning about how important it is to have a large number of skills to overcome opponents. Even if a person would be required to assert himself for the sake of something new on his pre-similarity the action is on, right? It is a philosophical reflection on finding new paths and asserting one's own identity. Sweet Raztut for life. The more he eats, the bigger and stronger he'll get. It could refer to some creature that grows and strengthens by feeding on a certain source of energy or food in their world. Portraits of 2 characters are visible, a woman with a serious face and a man with a look of determination. Our target has already grown to the size of a mountain. This can indicate the magnitude of the problem or challenge the characters have to overcome. How every night he reaches for the thorns of the Delvindas. This may speak to a constant threat or task they face on a daily basis. Sladky replenishes the strength of his victims. In other words, it could be reasoning about some process or mechanism in their world where one being or force is nourished or enhanced at the expense of others. If you cut off on her destroy lists, she'll just shift in all the mana, Zlacha, and Nachin. Shows a serious-looking man saying, "So we need to break down one passer at a time, how much extra we still have." Shows 2 characters inside a vehicle with the text, "It can already be seen," which could mean that their goal or intended location is near. Abandoned Lukit mine. It may indicate a place associated with a certain activity or event in their world. You can see an abandoned mine with slime coming out of it. The mine has long since been abandoned, but it looks like there's still some iron left there. A woman with a determined expression saying, "All right, let's get started." which may indicate her readiness to act or the beginning of an important event. The character jokes, "That woman has only muscles instead of brains," which can be a playful or ironic comment on her character or abilities. Apparently doubts her actions. She had no time to think about it, but she was already in a fighting stance. Is she as desperate as Marie? Indicating her impulsiveness or fearlessness. The woman seems determined again and says, "From now on, I only do what I say." This statement emphasizes her independence and her desire to take control of the situation. A girl with purple hair rushes into the carriage and someone shouts, "Come on foot!" Everyone looks like they're running late and dust is rising around them. A girl with golden hair rejoices in a sunny day, raising her hand up and saying, "What nice weather." She is happy and full of energy. A girl joking and laughing, offering a snack. A serious-looking man is standing next to her. He looks confused by her proposal. The purple-haired girl says something important and serious, addressing someone off-screen. "Slazer, I told you that yesterday before the fight, didn't I?" The man in the blue coat speaks earnestly, and there is a lot of snow around him. He says, "But she was after me before we even started." There's something else about cold and light at the bottom. The next thing you can see is this man's face. He looks serious and says, "Right now, he's like putting himself in a ketsu." Then he adds something about his experience. The girl looks at the butterfly and seems sad. Lights twinkle around her. She says, "That our victim will be useless here." Then she walks away and the man looks after her saying, "I was howling asterisk with no use asterisk Marie, but..." You can see he's thinking about something. The guy smiles and says, "She's actually intimidating." He looks confident and cheerful. The purple-haired girl next to him looks away and says thoughtfully, "Well, somehow I feel that way myself." She seems a little embarrassed or confused. You can see a golden-haired girl looking off into the distance. The text says, "To Marie is passionately Barada and Zamokta." You could see she was thinking about something important. A girl and someone says, "Marie." She pays attention to the call, but her face is calm and centered. A guy in a blue cape asks a girl, "How's your mana and stamina?" He looks interested and a little worried. The girl with golden hair replies cheerfully and raises 2 fingers up. "I ate a lot of buns at breakfast, so I'm full of energy now." She is joyful and full of energy. Same guy yelling, "Marie!" And it sounds like he's desperately trying to say something or warn me. His gestures are active and decisive. The girl, Marie, uses magic. She is focused and serious, her hands glowing and sparks flying around her. The text tells you to begin using the spell. The magic circles glow and rise up, and in the center at the top, a small figure holds something glowing. The text reads, "Usta, a novelty." Shows the magic circle up close, and something happens on it. The text says, "Correcting magic circles." A girl holding a glowing symbol in front of her. She looks focused and calm, and sparks shimmer around her. A close-up shows the face of a girl with her eyes closed and a small light on her fingers. She seems centered and calm during the magical act. A huge fiery explosion with magical symbols all around it. The fire is bright and powerful. It rises upward like a great flame. You can see the same explosion, but from the side, shrapnel or particles seem to fly away from the center of the explosion. A girl with purple hair and a man in a blue coat against a blue sky. She's holding her buns and looking straight ahead, and he's standing behind her looking serious. A golden-haired girl with a bow and arrow says, "A real witch is useless," and she's not the one who's been hitting full throttle yet. She looks confident and ready for action. A guy holds a girl in his arms. She screams merrily, "You made me laugh, praise me." He looks surprised but laughs too. A man in a blue coat who says, "I didn't teach you that, where did you get that from?" He looks shocked and delighted. The girl exclaims cheerfully, "I'm hungry." And the text clarifies, "Taking the magic of Mari burns a bunch of calories." A girl at a table with food, she's with fork and knife in hand and looking happily at a plate of cutlets. The text reads, "That's why our food bills are so exorbitant." The guy in the blue coat says to the girl, "When we get back to town, I'll buy you anything you want." She looks surprised and pleased. He offers her a packet of something like candy or bars labeled Yaba. The girl shouts with joy, "Ah!" A girl who is delighted with a sweet holds it in her hands and says, "Sweets after battle are real happiness." She's happy and smiling. Another girl with purple hair offers a candy bar and says, "You can have it, Slazer." She looks welcoming and willing to share. You can see the guy in blue looking at the girl with purple hair who looks hurt or upset. A question mark hovered in the air, emphasizing his bewilderment. He looks at her and says, "You don't look happy." His gaze is serious and she looks away, seeming embarrassed or upset. The girl in the back, she's holding a sword. The text suggests, When you think about how to fight the strongest opponent, he will consider you unworthy of his attention. The guy points his finger and says, "We'll put the display on this is not a asterisk dual asterisk." His tone seems stern, trying to get something across to her. The guy in the blue clothes says seriously, "It's a different environment here." A girl with purple hair in thought, she says, "The thought process of geniuses outshines me." She stands alone against the dark sky and storm clouds, seemingly preparing for battle, and thinks, it is reckless to rush into battle, risking everyone who, yes, there's no need for that. The guy speaks again, this time warningly and sternly. "Let me give you some advice, if you don't change your mind." A guy with a confident expression on his face says, "Don't get into a fight unnecessarily. With my ingenuity, I will give your talent a second life." The purple-haired girl goes on to say thoughtfully, "This kind of thing is more like low-ranking adventurers." She seems thoughtful and critical. The guy laughs and jokes, "Really? Doesn't she still love medicine regardless of the wounds?" A surprised girl with a lollipop in her hand, she asks thoughtfully, "Was Marie right?" She looks intrigued. The girl with purple hair asks seriously, "Are you really a rank 5 adventurer?" She seems skeptical and disgruntled. She continues her question, adding the name Van. A guy in blue who's shocked and screaming, "What? Did she get it?" The girl smiles and says, "Maybe adventurers who take such risks are just stupid." She looks pleased with herself and her conclusion. Can see the girl and the guy wrestling with each other in a joking manner. She yells, "Nasta, nickname, the strongest in the world." A guy in blue with a pained expression on his face. He seems startled or stunned. Stars flicker around his head and he screams, "It's gone." The girl and the guy are in a mock fight again and she says, "Cam Cooley's got muscles instead of brains, but here's a minute and the power's hooting." The guy smiles confidently and says, "Well, I can't do anything to her anyway," and adds, "I can't beat her." The purple-haired girl ponders, saying, "I was taught that the beautiful position of dirt will not win." She continues, "Just angry at you." All 3 characters are depicted together, a girl, a guy in blue, and a golden-haired girl who exclaims joyfully, "Ada," and seems to be saying something in the spirit of fun or play. Purple-haired girl expressing surprise or outrage, with emotional signs above her head, perhaps in response to an unexpected action or word. The purple-haired girl says embarrassedly, "It's a pleasure to be with you," while the guy in blue looks surprised and perplexed. Shows a cozy house covered with vines in the sunset light, creating a calm and peaceful atmosphere. Depicts a group of people gathered around a table with books and scrolls, apparently discussing an important plan or strategy. Person who exclaims in surprise or indignation, "One thing is actually and not even a live signature," in response to an unexpected statement or action. The guy in blue says to the crowd, "Another trial in this wizarding world was not expected." He looks confident and ready for the challenge. The girl with the golden hair vigorously declares, "All because a true, superb strategist." Shows a guy in blue with a puzzled and slightly disappointed look on his face, and he says, "We got him again. It didn't even smell like a strategist in there." A purple-haired girl who says in surprise, "Marie, your magic is amazing. I didn't even think you'd be able to destroy an entire box in one hit." The golden-haired girl says cheerfully to the purple-haired girl, "Nasta, a nickname could be cooler." It seems to be part of their friendly banter or rivalry. The girl says with a wide smile, "He taught me everything I know about magic." Her face radiates happiness and pride. A man in blue who seems agitated or excited. Perhaps he is getting into an argument or discussion with a golden-haired girl. A woman in a blue dress proudly presents a pile of bags, saying, "And here is your reward." She looks satisfied and happy, perhaps representing a well-deserved prize or payment for a completed task. The group is standing next to a pile of bags. The guy in blue says, "Mind if we split it 3 ways?" and adds, "We're all equal." The purple-haired girl seems to doubt this, saying dreamily, "Sure wish I could say that, but..." The girl continues, "I didn't do anything on this mission, so I don't deserve an award." She expresses her honesty and integrity. The guy in blue, who makes a strong statement, "By the way, for lodging and food expenses, I'll take care of it." He looks serious and responsible. The purple-haired girl reacts in amazement at his words, asking, "What's the meaning of this?" She seems confused by his suggestion. The guy in the blue coat addresses the girl with purple hair with the words, "You're already part of our family." He smiles and she looks down, seemingly embarrassed. Shows this same girl who is shocked, thinking, "Why would he suddenly decide that? If he's thinking about marriage, then after all." The girl is shocked and blushing, holding her face and thinking, "So he wants to marry me?" The guy in blue looks puzzled and perplexed, seeing the reaction of the girl who seems to have misunderstood his words. The girl in the green dress says, "The head of our branch would like to meet with you if you have some free time." She looks polite and reserved. hands clutching something with force, accompanied by the text, "How could this happen?" A guy in a blue raincoat flounders in the water and screams, "I should be striving for survival, but instead I'm sliding into a freaking shaft." Shows a closed envelope with the inscription "Totally Secret" and a signature at the bottom, given related to the events that took place. You can see the silhouettes of two figures in the rain, and the text says, "The guild keeps such secrets because adventurers are able to handle such problems, no." The guy in blue reads the document and looks upset or concerned. Shows the same guy who says, "Better give it to someone else," and at the bottom adds, "You owe it to yourself to take it on." An older man with a mustache and in a business suit says, "You three are adventurers of the starting most entry level of ranks," and adds, "Besides, your witchcraft will be..." A guy with a serious face and a look into the night is seen, only one word, "Wah," indicating his intention to say something or contemplation. And he's in the water and he's thinking, "Maybe the problem is that I never learned how to swim and didn't drink too much." The same guy seems to be in the bathroom saying, "We're all one family, and there's no shame in taking a bath together." A golden-haired girl who asks with surprise and delight, "Van, you're here too." She looks joyfully surprised and happy. A purple-haired girl who looks very surprised and confused, with her hands raised in the air. The man in the water said something that caused the girl to react with, "I knew he was already here. And then why did you come in?" indicating her embarrassment and perhaps the awkwardness of the situation. Shows a purple-haired girl running, seemingly trying to take cover while screaming, "Mentor, help me zdobicha." She says to the golden-haired girl, "But you've done this before," which may indicate their previous shared experience or interaction in a similar situation. The golden-haired girl, while in the bathroom, says thoughtfully, showing her pondering or doubts about something. The violet-haired girl seems to ask in thought, "How long has it been like this between you two?" which may indicate her curiosity or wonder about the relationship between those present. The man in blue who, while combing his hair, says, "There is no relationship, it's just that we're childhood friends." It could be his answer to the purple-haired girl's question, and he's trying to clear the air. The golden-haired and purple-haired girls can be seen looking at each other. Their facial expressions may reflect a mutual understanding or misunderstanding between them. We see a guy who relaxedly throws his head back and says, "Marie and I are war orphans, lived and grew up together." It suggests that they have a special bond with each other, based on their shared past and the hardships they have endured together. A girl with purple hair, she seems shocked at what's going on and asks the question, "So that's why you're going to the bathroom?" The same girl looks a little embarrassed or perplexed and says, Mayo, it's already a habit for you." The guy seems confused or embarrassed about the situation he finds himself in and says, "I'm still a virgin," which may indicate he is uncomfortable with the situation and wants to protect his reputation or honor. A young man stands among the books and magical ingredients knocked off the shelves. His gaze is puzzled and his words express surprise at the unexpected turn of events. There is chaos all around him, which he didn't expect, since he spent all his days studying. The guy's musings are cut short by a sudden question to himself about what has not yet been done that led to this situation. Doubt and frustration are read in his eyes as he tries to make sense of the incidents that caught him off guard. We see a girl in the bathroom. Her facial expression is full of concentration, and she seemed to be asking an important question about an errand. Her gaze is filled with determination and slight confusion, as if she's faced with an unforeseen task. Image of a young man in a bathtub, his expression reflecting shock and acceptance of what is happening. "We just have to accept it," he says, trying to adjust to the unexpected turn. There is a mixture of humility and bewilderment in his gaze. A close-up of his face, his eyes serious and piercing. "7 great ages in the studio," he whispers, referring to grandiosity and wisdom, which only emphasizes the magnitude of his dilemma. There is a deep silvery gleam in his eyes, as if he sees through the very essence of things. A majestic dragon, its body covered in blue scales, stares with its piercing eyes through the frosty air. "Should have dovetailed it even then," the text reads, suggesting a previous battle and unfinished business needing completion. Glaciers and snow-capped mountains under bright, clear skies. The swords embedded in the snow give the feeling of a final resting place or a monument to some long-ago battle that left its mark on this cold world. We see a group of travelers. Among them, a girl with surprise and disbelief in her eyes reprimands, "It's him!" The confusion and puzzlement is reflected on her face as she searches for answers to the questions that have arisen before her. A guy staring at something in the distance, his face reflecting seriousness and concentration. 7 great ages in the studio. "Silver dragon," he whispers, as if a picture of the past is forming in his mind, accompanied by a sense of the coming confrontation. Ice-sharp crystals rise before us, reminding us of the frozen realm. The text below reads, "When we first encountered him, he was just a baby," which makes you think of a long-ago encounter with a dragon that has now grown into a powerful creature. Dressed in warm cloaks looking at something outside the frame. The words, "according to the rules of old," that ritual of the grammata, uttered by the lad, alluding to the ancient customs and mysterious rites associated with the dragon world. A majestic dragon in full glory, its blue scales glistening under the light of the stars. And if we've still got the youngsters whipped up, then how strong will the adults be? The question is asked, pointing to the power and danger that an adult dragon carries. In the same blue coat, his eyes serious and determined. "Ready," he says briefly, confirming his readiness to face the coming test, and perhaps his final fight with the dragon. A joyous girl with a staff in her hands exclaims, "Let's nail him with my spell." She exudes enthusiasm and confidence, as if she already has a plan to defeat a powerful adversary. Of a young man addressing someone to marry, speaking of readiness and strength. His words, "I have an idea," carry the promise of a cunning plan and a possible solution to a complex problem. A battle scene unfolds before us where the warrior speaks hesitantly about doubting his power to strike the dragon, but he also realizes that every move the dragon makes could have serious consequences. The young man talks about the need to minimize the damage. He seems more determined, but his words carry caution and prudent planning in the face of danger. We see a close-up of the guy's face, his gaze serious and determined. The words around it speak to the importance of the moment. This time, the one who defeats the beast of the Great Brebs will not be Marie. Next takes us to a girl with a sword standing under a starry sky. Her expression speaks of inner strength and readiness for action, and the words, "I will ignite," hint at her determination and possibly her ability to perform magic. The girl with the sword in a more dynamic and emotional state. She seems agitated and perhaps even angry, exclaiming, "I can attack him, can I? Just a little bit." We see both characters in a moment of confrontation where the guy seems to question the girl's strength or strategy. His words, "Are we having a rip and repeat tonight?" and her reaction to them emphasize the tension of the situation. The guy looks concerned. Standing next to his reflection, he admonishes, "It's hopeless, they don't have brains." This may indicate his frustration with the abilities of his comrades or current tactics. The girl admits to losing control of her magic. I lost control of I'm going to be in the war." Her words and facial expression indicate the stress and possible danger associated with this loss of control. A frozen dragon that embodies the power and strength of the ice element. The text, and in general, leaves room for reflection and speculation about the situation, perhaps referring to the unexpected outcome of the battle. We see a girl staring pensively into the distance. She reflects on her roots and what sets her dragon apart from others. "I'm nowhere near the continent, so I don't know much about the sea-ribbed dragon. What makes it different from ordinary dragons?" Her words suggest a desire to learn more and understand the nature of her opponent. Of a young man turned sideways with a thoughtful and determined look. He says, "I'm not surprised. There's a famous legend about him. Let's start with her." This hints at a possible ancient lore that may help with the current situation. An idyllic picture of the town centered around the castle. The text at the top speaks of the long past, and that there are ancient powers that have been curbed by this world, and that the center of that power is here. An ice crystal towering over the city, creating a sense of impending threat or magical phenomenon. This could be a visualization of the very legend or power mentioned earlier. We see fragments of different scenes, the quiet life of people in the city and the dialogue of two characters. One of them says, "One long ago war," and the other adds, "No one should surrender his rule of the sphere." This suggests conflict and the importance of fighting for control of a powerful force. The girl in the blue dress looks shocked and frightened. She exclaims, "Me," and asks, "What is it?" Obviously faced with something unexpected and dangerous. A powerful ice vortex from which an ice dragon seems to be forming or bursting out. The energy and power of this moment is felt even through the image. We see a dragon formed entirely out of ice that towers above the ground. Its posture and power give an impression of the majesty and strength of this creature. Shows the girl again, now in a dynamic pose ready to take on the challenge. Her determination and willingness to act is emphasized by her firm gaze and fist clenched in a sign of determination. Sees a mighty ice dragon hunched among sharp ice floes and snow. His posture suggests that he is about to prepare for battle or the defense of his territorial possession. revealing its connection to the earth and sky, and thus emphasizing its significance and power. The inscription says that dragons have always sought a place to rest, presented a harsh reality. This dragon's resting place turned out to be the only one, but brought him a brutal death. The text and image show the contrast between the peaceful nature of the dragon and the cruelty with which it was met. A guy who seems to have come to some important realization about the silver dragon, his words, and he hasn't changed at all, and the scariest thing about the silver dragon is that leave the question open, hinting at a deep mystery or unexpected twist in their adventure. A girl with a staff in her hands and an energetic expression on her face says that he could do something against us in a second. That's it. Her posture and facial expressions express surprise and determination. The girl with a serious and focused expression remarks, "It can even change the surrounding climate." Her words hint at the dragon's powerful abilities to affect the environment. The first girl with the staff who wonders, "Why does it freeze though?" Her question expresses curiosity and a desire to understand the motives or mechanisms behind the dragon's actions. We see both girls. The first one asks perplexedly, "You're going to grass your bed into linens, aren't you?" This issue perhaps has in mind some sort of competition or challenge between the characters, adding a light and playful element to the context of their adventures. The young man with the staff admonishes, to him, creating a glacier carries the same meaning. This is an assumption regarding the fact that for a dragon, creating ice formations is something natural or important. Characters looking at an ice dragon in the distance. One of the characters asks, "By the way, has anyone noticed his weaknesses yet?" This indicates their desire to find a weakness in a powerful opponent. A guy who's thoughtful and says, "They're able to notice things I can't." This may reflect his realization that other members of the group have insights or abilities that are not available to him. We see two girls against a background of chemical formulas, which may symbolize the search for a scientific or magical solution to their situation. The girl with the staff seemed to suddenly realize something important, exclaiming, "I get it." Her with a delighted and triumphant expression on her face when she says, "The silver dragon does nothing but sleep." This discovery seems to give her the key to understanding the dragon's nature. She continues enthusiastically, "We, the letter and dip, but we still have Na meeting with us. True, as long as you are with us, I can be at ease," addressing his companion with confidence in his words. A young person who, embarrassed, says, "I'm not going to participate this time," perhaps abandoning some conceived idea or strategy. His expression and gestures show his reluctance to be dragged into this situation. A girl with a question on her face says, Why? And a male voice replies, "Counter Nick is one of the 7 great wonders of the studio. Isn't that in itself breathtaking?" It is assumed that they are discussing some incredible phenomenon or creature that they admire. The girl continues, saying, "I am." Perhaps she is beginning to realize her role or coming to an important conclusion in the current situation. Of a young man musing about a dragon. What if they make him a dilapidated silver dragon? Will we be able to defeat him again? How long is this going to go on? He questions the long-term outlook of their bouts with the dragon. The young man says thoughtfully, "I want to learn such tactics that I can foil any move of my opponent, even such a monster." This shows his desire to develop the strategic thinking to overcome even the most difficult obstacles. The young man says with determination in his eyes, "And the first tactic I need is myself." This emphasizes his desire to be at the forefront of the solution and personally take responsibility. A girl who looks worried. She says, "Then it will be useless for you to use all the power," expressing doubt about the effectiveness of the proposed plan of action or strategy. Both characters discuss the situation. The young man says, "So we need to find his weak spot," and the girl adds, all right, taking care of all of us." They seem united in their search for a solution. The group suddenly gets into a bind. One of the characters yells out, "You two, get away!" signaling the need for immediate action in response to a possible threat or unexpected event. A young man who comments, "Weaver na. Usually the nastiness becomes twice as powerful as the brunt." He shares an observation, presumably about the behavior of some entity or phenomenon that is amplified in battle. Girl says, "I've needed one of these a couple times," perhaps expressing experience in overcoming difficulties or encountering danger. A moment when a dragon-like creature is surrounded by force fields or magical spells, indicating a tense moment of confrontation or an attempt to rein it in. Still, inhaling combat isn't the best option. He's got a wide range of offense. It analyzes an enemy's tactics or abilities, suggesting that direct confrontation may not be the most effective method of combat. The girl says with obvious irritation, "Why is snacking a bad thing?" expressing her disagreement with some statement or situation. Turning to the girl lying in the snow asks, "Shall we move on?" It implies their intention to continue the journey or task despite obstacles. Is there another reason why the silver dragon builds himself a glacier, indicating a search for the underlying motivation behind the dragon's actions? The young man smiles, implying that he knows the answer to the question asked or has an idea, while the girl looks at him in bewilderment. The girl expresses her feelings cheerfully and optimistically. If Naysnicker laughs like that, everything will go well. This may indicate that she has found a reason to be excited or confident about an upcoming endeavor. A group of characters preparing for action. The young man at the front of the group says, "Let's attack head on," emphasizing their intention to face the problem directly and decisively. The same young man repeats with energy and enthusiasm, "Let's attack head on," which further emphasizes their strategy or plan of action. The reaction of the girl, who seems surprised or perhaps even doubtful of the proposed plan, expressing it by saying, "Right, yes?" A young man who says with a smile and a touch of sarcasm, "A fair fight, 1,000,000 to 1. You like that sort of thing, don't you?" He seems to be teasing or questioning his interlocutor's preference for the fairness of battles. With a serious expression on her face, who apparently reacts to the guy's words. Her disgruntled look may indicate that she disagrees with his point of view or joke. One of the characters says, "So many Lu people." It may indicate a gathering, or perhaps even witnesses or participants in some event. A dialogue between two characters where the girl asks, "Does this straw work?" Perhaps discussing the plan or strategy talked about earlier and assessing its potential for success.